So next month is the month of May. And the month of May is known for a lot of things. It's known for being the month of Mother's Day. It's known for the kickoff, if you will, on the last Monday of the month, the kickoff to the summer break with Memorial Day weekend, that is. It's also known, speaking of the middle to late portion of the month, it's also known for graduations from high school, middle school, universities, you name it, depending on your region, that is, of where you live. It's known for all of that. But did you know it also has another theme? It does. And that theme, believe it or not, is melting. Yeah. Now, I've talked about this before, that I think, in my opinion, one of the reasons it's called that is because, depending on where you live, May is known for kind of slowly ushering in the hot weather. I mean, yes, we kind of get it in April and sometimes even late March, but May is mostly notorious for doing it towards the end of, its run, if not throughout the entire month itself, depending on where you live. And if you don't believe me, you can check the weather for out here in the Central Valley of California. You can ask those in Texas and Arizona, and they'll tell you otherwise. But it's not just because of the heat wave that, figuratively makes you feel like you're going to become a puddle of ooze. But it's also known for an opportunity for writers and artists at places like DeviantArt, inkmoney.net, for VENMO, Newgrounds, if you will, and so on. Even at story outlets like archiveofourOwn.org, Sadu Write, NFSW Story Generator, Rule 34 again, and Newgrounds, and so on and so forth. Even So Furry is another site that deals with this as well. It's known for writers and artists in those areas, as well as that Echoes Portal. Echoes Portal is also known for doing this too. It's known for a lot of writers because it allows them to kind of test the waters, if you will, by allowing them to write stories or draw pictures of OC characters that they may have created long ago or recently, to basically in said picture, maybe said little comic that they're trying out, to have their character become a puddle of goo by melting because of the weather, or melting because they found somebody attractive. It gives them the opportunity to test that out, not just artistically, but writing-wise. Basically, it allows them to kind of figure out, how do I get to that point? Well, my character does that. But for others, it's a return to something that they like to do. It's a return to something that basically allows them to, kind of create a new world, kind of continue to grow that world, and also grow the characters in it, and tell interesting stories. But also, along the way, kind of get a little naughty and frisky with those stories. And believe me, there are some that do that. There is no doubt. There are some. There are those that I follow that do that. And they do a great job. In fact, the one that I want to talk about here is DezzieArts, formerly known as Jack LaCour, if you will, Jack LaCour. DezzieArts, she basically every May goes out and gives us what's known as Melting Me-I. That's right. That's exactly how it's spelled. Melting Me-I. M-E-I. And this story began, believe it or not, as soon as May rolls around next month in a few weeks, began 5 years ago. Yeah. And you can tell, in my opinion, this is my opinion, you can tell this was supposed to be just a one and done. Just do it for the month, and then that's it. But Melting Me-I became so popular, over its first initial run, that Desi decided she wanted to continue it. And year after year after year, she has done that. She has continued it, and continued it, and continued it, and continued it. And you know what? For somebody that's been anticipating its return every May, I could say this honestly and factually, that after this May is done, even though I'll be able to go back and reread every year, every chapter from every year, it's going to be hard not to look forward to a Melting Me-Eye story from DezzieArts in 2026. Because 2025, this year, is when she's bringing this story to an end. Now, you might ask why, if you've been following the story. And me, I've given my reviews on it, so you should have a good idea as to what the story's about. But the long and short of it, in my opinion, is because of the fact that she's taken the characters that originally started with Mi-Eye and Zara, and then included Elizabeth later on. She's taken them as far as she can go. She's gotten them now to a point where basically their recent intimacy with each other, all three that is, basically caused them to fuse and merge into one person, basically permanently to an extent. Now, I'm not saying totally permanently, but basically it's now at a point to where if Zara needs to show up, then the new person they became becomes Zara. If Elizabeth has to show up, same thing. If Mi-Eye has to show up, same thing. They basically switch places. Now, I'm not saying they don't separate or anything, but this apparently is where it feels like, things have gotten to a point to where if you're someone like DezzieArts, Michelle, that's her real name, you ask yourself, where do I take these characters from here? Because she did have a plot. She did actually have a main plot, if you will. Hold on for a sec, guys. Hold on. Hold on, that's the phone ring. Like I was saying, she had a plot pretty much already set to already in the works, and she executed that plot because she gave us an antagonist for our three heroines, or at least the two heroines of Mi-Eye and Zara, and then with the help and babyface turn of Elizabeth to their side, they pretty much gave us a villainess, an antagonist, and this Lindsay lady who wanted Zara's massage parlor. Basically her body massage parlor and everything because of the special elixir she heard of that a lot of customers were enjoying, this ultimate mysterious elixir, which she had no idea until later on of what or who it could be made of, because basically the elixir that the customers would soak in, for relaxation was Mi-Eye herself. And by doing so, Mi-Eye was able to siphon some energy from them, not maliciously, but she was able to siphon some energy from them to be able to, I guess you could say, allow her power to grow and become even more substantial for someone like herself and Zara, and even eventually Elizabeth. And the way it's pretty much described, if you will, the way it's pretty much described towards the end of the recent chapter, if you will, last year, Mi-Eye has pretty much given up, she has pretty much given up her human persona, like her human life, if you will, because of this. She is now basically more in trance, more involved as being basically the main anchor, the main power anchor of this, melting, shape-shifting gooey-ness that, they're now all part of and everything. So, yeah, basically they're all happy. And they basically, because of their intimacy they went through last year at the end, they ended up basically, like I said earlier, fusing into one person called Levi. Levi, that's the name they chose. And she's her own person, but she does acknowledge where she came from. She does acknowledge that the people comprised of her still exist within her, but she's her own person. And then, like I said earlier, she would have to switch back and forth between some of them to kind of hide suspicion. Now, the question though is, what happens next? Well, I did do a video where I kind of predicted what I think would be the next step. Well, I feel they're going to go. And I just believe, essentially, this is going to be an interesting last chapter. Because you can't tell me that the Lindsay lady isn't going to be suspicious that this elixir, this shop that she now owns, that was once, Zara's, doesn't have, the elixir that she pretty much already found out was Miai, but doesn't have any more of the stuff she needs. So she's going to want to find out, okay, where did these three go? They suddenly disappeared. They vanished. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. Now she gave us a clue, with a sneak peek, because the one thing she would do over the past couple of years, and she did it last year, is give us a sneak peek of what this year was going to be like. And it feels like what she's doing is she's having all three girls through Levi, if you will. She's having them basically erase any trace of the formula, as well as erase any trace of their existence in the town they lived in, so they can move on to another town and begin a new life under this fusion of Levi and have a lot of gooey, melty, shape-shifty fun with each other, lesbian-wise, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, basically, long story short, she's kind of set the table through the sneak peek into what we're going to be in store for next month. But like I said, it's going to be a little rough, not so much, but it's going to be a little disappointing and rough that we won't get another Melting Miai story in 2026. Now, that doesn't mean we won't get a melting story from her in 2026. It just means it won't be about Miai. I think, this is my opinion, she might have set it up to where Levi will be the focal point in 2026. Or she might just come up with something totally different. I mean, honestly, what she's doing right now with her metamorphosized to malleability story, it feels like she's setting the tables, up. She's setting the tables for Crystal in the metamorphosized to malleability story. She's setting the tables for Crystal to slowly gain powers similar to Briella. So that might be where we head next for the Melting May month in 2026, but we'll see. Again, I think it could be Levi, the fusion of all three. That's the next one on board. So 2026 is Melting May when it comes from the stories of DezzieArts. Or it could be Crystal. Crystal could be getting the powers, and maybe, DezzieArts, Michelle, may want to dedicate, May of 2026 to her developing and learning the powers and having fun with them. So we'll see. Or maybe she'll come up with a new original idea. We don't know. But all I know is I'm looking forward to this year's final installment. And maybe she might continue it if it's popular enough. People want to see more. But I think she's pretty much set on an ending. And then whatever she's got planned for May 2026, I think it's either going to spawn from this, or it's going to spawn from metamorphosis malleability. But yeah, guys, if I was you, go to DeviantArt.com, look up DezzieArts, that's DezzieArts, DezzieArts, and look for the Melting Miai section. She's got it in a section. Read them, and I guarantee you'll enjoy every second of it. And it'll get you hyped and ready to go for the final installment this year. But that's all I can say for now, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are overall. And until next time, I will talk to you later. And yes, I will be reviewing every story that when it comes out as best as I can. And again, I encourage you guys to check it out. But until next time, I'll talk to you all later. Take care. God bless. I am out.